Hello and welcome to Global Eye from the BBC World Service. In the next half an hour, we'll bring you some of the best journalism from our teams across the world. I'm Rebecca Henschke from the BBC Eye investigation team, and I'm here in Indonesia, the world's largest archipelago and one of the most biodiverse places on Earth. It's home to rainforests, vast coral reefs, and thousands of species found nowhere else. But this extraordinary natural wealth is under threat.
Later in the programme, the inside story of an illegal trade worth billions of pounds a year. But it's not drugs, weapons or diamonds. BBC Eye exposes the smugglers trafficking huge quantities of the so-called cocaine of the sea, baby eels. And our forensic team will take you inside Tehran as the city's residents live daily under the shadow of sustained attack. Using satellite imagery, social media footage and first-hand accounts, we'll explore the human cost of the war on the Iranian people.
Every year, hundreds of thousands of tons of plastic washes up on beaches like this one. Indonesia is facing a plastic waste management crisis. I've lived and reported in Indonesia for over 15 years, and returning this time I've been shocked by the scale of the problem. Without proper waste management or coordinated recycling from the government, a huge amount of plastic is dumped or ends up in the rivers, waterways like this one that flow to the sea. This time of year, the beginning of the rainy season, when the rivers are flushed out, is known in coastal communities like this one as the rubbish season, or musim sampah. The impact is everywhere. This beach here on the island of Lombok just littered with plastic. And once it enters the ocean, it breaks down into little pieces, damaging the coral reefs and gets eaten by turtles, seabirds and fish. Indonesia is now the world's second worst ocean plastic polluter after China. Plastic from here is carried by ocean currents to countries far from these shores, making this a global problem. A recent study found that rubbish from the rivers in Java is reaching the coast of Africa in less than a year. Community groups across Indonesia are trying to clean up polluted rivers, but say what's needed is urgent action from business groups and the government.
Environmentalists want a ban on single-use plastics. They say the burden shouldn't only be on consumers to clean up the mess, but also on the companies producing the plastic waste, as now even uninhabited islands are affected.
Ini Pulau Monyet. Penghuninya adalah monyet. Ada sampah. Siapa yang buat sampah?
Stefan's a schoolteacher on Komodo Island, home to the world's largest lizard, the Komodo dragon.
Kemudian ada kaleng-kaleng minuman, ada botol.
He teaches his students about the importance of protecting their unique environment and gets them involved in regular cleanups like this one.
Di laut ada masalah, yaitu sampah. Lebih khusus lagi, sampah plastik. Bersama siswa sekolah, saya melakukan kegiatan. Semoga ini mengedukasi dan juga menginspirasikan kebersihan dari kampung ke kampung ataupun dari sekolah ke sekolah.
Videos of beaches in Bali and a remote national park in Java being hit by wave after wave of plastic have been shared widely on social media, sparking outcry here in Indonesia. President Prabowo Subianto was forced to admit the government needs to act.
Apakah turis mau datang melihat sampah? Indonesia indah, dia mau datang lihat kumuh. Dia mau ke Bali, pantai Bali kotor. Ini kita harus atasi bersama.
Plastic waste is just one of many environmental challenges facing Indonesia. Another is the illegal trafficking of wildlife. Animals are being captured, sold, and smuggled. Some are taken for the lucrative international pet trade. Others are trafficked for traditional medicine. Animal rights groups say to capture just one baby, poachers often have to kill the mother and sometimes other adults nearby. Those animals that are rescued are rehabilitated at centres like this one, and when ready, released back into the wild. But with 17,000 islands, stopping the smuggling is challenging.
The port here in Surabaya, Indonesia's second largest city, is a key hub for wildlife trafficking. Shipping routes to the east of the country and the rest of Asia make it a major transit point for people wanting to get animals from island to island and then out of the country. Police regularly seize shipments of reptiles, birds and endangered primates here. They're often hidden in legal cargo kept in small containers. Often dehydrated and injured, many don't survive the journey. In one recent case, police found over 400 birds and reptiles inside a truck that was meant to be carrying mobile phones. But animal rights activists say corruption is undermining enforcement and point to cases where members of the military and the police have been arrested, accused of involvement in the trade. They say what's needed is not just the seizure of individual cargo, but more effort to dismantle the networks that allow this trade to continue. This isn't just an Indonesian problem. The global illegal wildlife trade is estimated to be worth tens of billions of dollars every year. And one of the most profitable creatures is one that might surprise you: eels. They're a popular dish in some parts of Asia, and the smuggling of eels from Europe is big business. Wild-caught baby eels are now one of the most trafficked creatures in the world, and European eels are critically endangered. BBCI investigates the trade, including from Britain, and the fight to stop it.
香港幫牌其實做嘅範數都差唔多，都係黃賭毒。規模我哋都算最大㗎啦，主力就係做走私嘅範疇啦。點解要歐洲貨？因為歐洲貨嘅質量同埋產量都係靚啲嘅，咁啊所以價值就會高好多。走私鰻魚同埋其他海鮮產品嘅利錢高啲。
我哋叫佢哋活嘅可卡因，海上嘅可卡因。
That tide's massive. It's a 7-year cycle. So from the Sargasso Sea, up to, from when they spawn, back to migration, 7 years. It's a living creature and an endangered species. There's a lot of rumours around there that they go into countries that they shouldn't be shipped to, but we don't know as a fisherman where their final destination goes. Now it's all got a bit too political, if you ask me, and I don't do politics, so I'd rather just go fishing, be happy, catch fish, and go home.
我叫細啲，個個都叫我阿啲哥嘅。走私鰻魚同埋其他海鮮產品嘅利錢就高啲，風險就低啲。走私毒品咧，如果俾人捉咗唔打靶都終身監禁嘅。鰻魚都係走私海鮮嘅啫，咁就唔係大嘅罪行嚟嘅。咁啊最多都係坐幾年嘅啫，咪充公晒啲貨品啫。咁啊過翻幾年又出翻嚟，又可以重新做翻啦。點解要歐洲貨？ 因為歐洲貨嘅質量同埋產量都係靚啲嘅，咁啊所以價值就會高好多。
Mein Name ist Florian Stein. Ich bin Wissenschaftler beim Deutschen Angelfischerverband und seit 10 Jahren berate ich auch Strafverfolgungsbehörden in Bezug auf Aalschmuggel. Es ist die größte Aalfarm der Welt und das ist nur eine von mittlerweile über 1000 Aalfarmen in China. Es gibt keine Aalzucht im herkömmlichen Sinne, sondern es ist eigentlich eine Aalmast, die immer auf die wilden Glasaale angewiesen ist. Und diese Farm alleine produziert dann 15.000 Tonnen, das ist 3-mal so viel, wie in ganz Europa produziert wird. Das Endprodukt sind in der Regel Unagi-Kabayaki-Filets und die werden in Sojasauce getunkt und gegrillt. Das Produkt bleibt aber nicht zwangsweise in China, sondern geht dann wieder in die Restaurants der ganzen Welt, beispielsweise in Amerika, aber auch in Europa. Wir gehen davon aus, dass der Glasaalschmuggel vor allen Dingen von der organisierten Kriminalität bedient wird. Wir haben eine Wertsteigerung von etwa 300 € beim Fischer auf bis zu 30.000 für die Aalprodukte, die am Ende dabei in der Farm in Asien rauskommen. Und das ist natürlich Gewinnspann in einem gleichen Spektrum eigentlich wie von Kokain. Okay. So let's talk about eels. All eels in aquaculture depend on wild-caught glass eels. So here we talk about one of the biggest wildlife crimes in the world in terms of animals trafficked as well as fraud value. And the overall value of that meat that is, well, at least that what we assess is illegally traded every year is worth 2 to 3 billion euros a year. Die große Frage ist natürlich, wo diese großen Farmen ihre ganzen Glasaale herbekommen.
Au départ, on suivait un camion et on se doutait bien qu'on savait que ce camion contenait des civelles et on se doutait bien qu'il allait livrer ces civelles quelque part. Mais on ne savait absolument pas où. C'est-à-dire que notre objectif, ce n'est pas d'arrêter un pêcheur en train de pêcher légalement des civelles. Notre objectif, c'est de démanteler des réseaux de trafic. Donc on l'a suivi un certain temps, et puis tout d'un coup, on l'a vu rentrer dans un garage. Et ensuite, quand on est rentré dans le garage, et la deuxième partie du garage, qui est à l'arrière, il y avait des tentes. Et sous ces tentes, il y avait des bacs avec de l'eau et des civelles à l'intérieur. Donc c'était parfaitement opaque. On ne pouvait absolument rien voir de l'extérieur. Et si on n'était pas tombé sur ce véhicule qui vient livrer, on n'aurait jamais trouvé un endroit pareil. En 2008, j'ai été nommé chef d'une task force qui s'appelait la Dragon, qui était spécialisée dans la criminalité organisée asiatique. Ce sont des groupes criminels chinois qui sont spécialisés dans le trafic de civelles. On connaît la pêche, on connaît le stockage, etc. Mais il nous manque pas mal d'éléments dans l'organisation. Ce qui est certain, c'est que ça génère d'énormes profits. Donc, ce n'est pas une petite organisation locale, artisanale. C'est quelque chose à grande échelle. Est-ce que c'est organisé par les triades? On n'en a pas la preuve en tout cas.
我嚟自香港一個三合會嘅組織。而家我哋會用一個冇咁直接嘅講法，叫呢種非法組織做公司 company。我從事歐亞嘅走私行業，但係重點。我哋同所謂嘅代理人合作，基本上就係中介。佢哋負責採購貨品，確保貨品抵達我哋可以接收到嘅目的地。攞到漁獲之後，佢哋會揾個地方做臨時存放，然後通知我哋數量同質量。因為我哋係大買家，所以價錢由我哋話事。 It's good. Maybe 8 out of 10. Because you need better yields to make it more perfect. 我喺公司其中一個重大項目度工作，我係一個項目經理 （project manager）。我主要負責確保底層員工做好佢哋嘅工作，同時確保我哋高層人士可以賺到錢。貨運唔見咗，無論點樣發生，代理都可以用錢擺平。冇俾錢嗰啲人就會受到體罰。我哋叫呢種懲罰 a little chopping。Hi， 阿 Duke。香港啲嘢點啊？搞掂未啊？
話我哋知時間，我哋準備好㗎啦。
咁循例都要收電話嘅。歐洲嗰邊最近有啲麻煩，俾人捉多咗，條路線可能會有少少變動。咁你留意翻啦，唔好魯莽做某件事啊！打醒12分精神。Tony， 你嗰邊又識邊個阿 Sir 啊？
唉，唔講啦，唔講啦。
你呢啲唔係依家講係嘛？
乜而家有人錄緊音咩？
係啊，而家拍緊嘢啊，自己收一收啦。
收啦！一條細細嘅玻璃曼，大概值2至3蚊美金啊！我哋每次走私大概200到500公斤啦。旺季通常1星期有2-3次。
船上邊有啲嘢可以保持住鰻魚生存嘅，佢哋會運翻去中國，連埋附近啲幫會，我哋一共有6隊人，夠包晒成個歐洲嘅玻璃鰻走私網絡㗎啦。
聽講每年大約有100噸玻璃鰻俾人走私，我估呢個數都好保守㗎啦。老實講，如果唔係有錢賺，我就唔會留喺歐洲啦。
En fait, on fait la course derrière les contrebandiers. On a toujours un temps de retard. Donc la personne qui fait de la civelle, il fera toute sa vie de la civelle. Plusieurs d'entre eux ont déjà été condamnés pour du trafic, pour de la pêche clandestine, pour différentes activités. Et ils reviennent systématiquement au bout de quelques années. Et donc, quand on sait faire ça, je crains qu'on le fasse toute sa vie.
我原則上支持與自然保育嘅，但同時我又覺得利益往往都比保護更重要。
For over a month, Iran has lived under the shadow of sustained attacks from the US and Israel. According to the government, over 1,000 civilians have lost their lives. The Iranian regime has moved to project strength, tightening its control, silencing reporting, and imposing an internet blackout. The BBC Eye has been accessing information from inside the capital, Tehran, piecing together verified social media footage, analysing satellite imagery, and obtaining first-hand accounts from residents in order to understand the human cost of this war on the Iranian people. Here's Nawal Al-Maghafi.
Our investigation starts in Rasalat, a residential neighborhood in the eastern part of the capital. This is the scene days after the attack. What stood here is now gone. Dozens of families lived in this building. Some still waiting for news of their loved ones, trapped beneath the rubble. When we filmed, rescue efforts had been going on for 3 days. For many, it was already too late. In January, this neighborhood was the scene of large protests against the government. Like elsewhere in Iran, the protests in Risalat were brutally crushed. The notorious Basij militia, part of the Revolutionary Guard, were blamed for killing thousands. Across the country, at least 7,000 protesters were killed, including more than 200 children. On March 9th, at around 2:30, this neighborhood was struck by Israeli forces. On WhatsApp, the IDF press office told us they were targeting a military compound of the Iranian Basij. We confirmed this building was indeed used by the Basij, but that day, 3 other buildings were also struck in quick succession. On satellite imagery taken a few days after the strike, we clearly see that all 4 have been obliterated. Our team told us these 3 buildings were residential. So did the Iranian Red Crescent.
این منطقه کلاً مسکونی بوده و هیچ تأسیسات نظامی یا پادگان نظامی اینجا نبوده که هدف قرار گرفته، به کلی ویران شده.
Rescuers worked through the night to try and find survivors. Local authorities and residents said at least 40 people were killed.
آبادی میدان رسالت متاسفانه حداقل حدود 30 واحد مسکونی اینجا الان آسیب دیده. قطعا به نظرم میتونست نقطه زنی کنه، ولی الان ما شاهدیم که چند بلوک مسکونی رو همزمان مورد اصابت قرار داده.
We've gathered as much available visual evidence as possible from the scene while our team visited the site. Our analysis shows that apartments as far as 65 meters away were heavily damaged. We found people trying to salvage whatever they could from the wreckage. Ali, not his real name, lived in a building within the blast zone. He'd just stepped out when the first strike hit.
نمیدونم کی سالم کی نه، فقط میدونم دوستام چند تا سر کوچه بودن همه فوت کردن دارن درشون میارن. 2 تا خانواده هست. چند تا خانواده هنوز دارن درشون میارن امداد. هلال احمر اومده آمبولانس. فوت کردن تو خونه بودن.
So why was the damage so extensive? Military experts told us this type of bomb is being deployed in Tehran by the Israeli Air Force. The Mark 80 series are carried by jets and are often fitted with precision guidance systems. The damage in this case appears to be consistent with the largest bomb, weighing 2,000 pounds. Some unexploded ones have been photographed in Tehran. The bombardment here has been intense. In the silence imposed by the government's internet blackout, these images are rare, but they are vital to understand what's unfolding on the ground. The IDF says it's deployed 3,600 munitions on the city since February 28th, hitting a huge range of targets including police stations, checkpoints and besiege bases. Many targets are embedded in densely populated areas across the city. We've gathered available data on these targets. It shows that at least 38 police stations and besieged sites were hit in between February 28th and March 19th. One of these strikes was just a few kilometers from Risalat, in Nilafar Square, the scene of another deadly attack. On the 1st of March, an Israeli strike hit the Abbasabad police station here. It was around 9 in the evening, a time of gathering after families had broken their Ramadan fast. Instead, there was chaos.
فقط یکی از بچه‌های مغازه‌مو اینجوری گرفتم دویدیم سمت خیابون چند نفر اینجا افتادن مردن ترکش خورد بهشون یه ماشین اون وسط افتاد یه زن و شوهر اینجا وایسادن رفتن تو مغازه خرید کردن به محض اینکه برگشتن بیرون همون لحظه زد آقا همونجا تموم کرد.
On a satellite picture of the area taken after the strike, we've been able to map out the extent of the damage to the surrounding area. Like the previous case, the blast zone was far wider than the target.
سوپ جالب اینا همه همسایه‌ان نه مثلا نه نظامی بودن نه چیز بودن اینا همشون کاسب بودن نونوا داشت بدبخت نونشو میپخت اون یه خونه یه پیرزنه بود که شهید شد این اتفاق اینجا افتاد.
We don't know how many civilians died at this site, but eyewitnesses told us it was around 20. We were told many families were made homeless. Human rights groups say more than 1,400 civilians have been killed so far. The US and Israel say by targeting police and besiege installations, they're preparing the ground for the Iranian people to overthrow the government.
Finally, to the great, proud people of Iran, I say tonight that the hour of your freedom is at hand.
But people in Iran are facing two threats, one from the air and another on the ground. It seems the regime is just tightening its grip and has not been shaken.
اینجا دیگه اگر کسی به خواست دشمن بیاد اون رو ما معترض و غیره نمیبینیم اون رو ما دشمن میبینیم برخورد میکنیم که با دشمن میکنیم همه بچهای ما دست به ماشه آمادن در حراست از انقلابشون در حمایت از مردمشون و میهنشون.
Iranian state media has been broadcasting images like these, too graphic for us to show you.
برای کسانی که دلخوش به کمک دشمن آمریکایی صهیونی بودند اما
In this report from Resalat Square, the reporter describes the scene as what America's support for Iran looks like. There's no mention of the nearby besieged building that was targeted. Instead, they focus solely on the residential buildings that were hit.
به هلاک شدن کودکان معصوم.
We spoke to two international humanitarian law experts about the incidents we've examined. They told us Israel and the US have a legal obligation not to use disproportionate force when targeting areas where civilians are present. Under international humanitarian law, they must also distinguish between civilian and military targets. Not doing so could be unlawful.
Thanks for joining me in Indonesia. We want your feedback on Global Eye, so please let us know what you think on social media using the hashtag BBC Global Eye. We'll be back next week. Goodbye.